XCOM, one of the most well-known series of strategy.
Commander,
goddamn, known for its deep yet simplistic gameplay, and the fact everyone in the XCOM universe is an incompetent shot that makes even game journalists look good. So I thought to enhance XCOM with all of its RNG goodness, why not add even more RNG into it? That is why I picked all of these second wave options today for a full playthrough. So join me on this mistake of a playthrough as I suffer massively. We start the game by looking at a quote that I still don't really understand. That aside, we pick North America as our starting base, as the discount on aircraft maintenance is a decent and always reliable bonus. We move into our first mission, touchdown, find our first sectoids, throw a grenade at them as any self-respecting XCOM player would do. And then we get into a little firefight with the rest of the sectoids, with lots of misses involved as a rite of passage for XCOM. Eventually we win, get back to base, and have 3 soldiers promoted, unfortunately missing the 4th promotion. We give our soldiers a bit of a makeover to make them look a little better for the upcoming fight. After some scanning, we get our first alien abduction missions. Eventually, after some deliberation, I decide to go after the mission in Australia for the scientists. The mission isn't of much significance, as it is just a bunch of sectoids which we promptly overwatch, shoot to death, and blow up. We head back, get our 4th promotion we were missing from our 4th mission. I check the council situation room to find out that why our income is so low, which is because America only provides us with 70 credits, which is significantly less than it usually does. We scan a bit more, get a request from the United Kingdom for a satellite, which I will take advantage of later, but we finish meld recombination, and eventually move on to alien materials for better armor. We find our first UFO and send our interceptor after it. We watch the dogfight and it is pretty one-sided. We go after the downed UFO, which happens to be crewed by just sectoids again. We shoot them down as always, and find our first outsider, which we promptly shoot in the face. We get a medal, which I assign defense and a cover to it, and name it appropriately. Alien materials finishes, and I decide to move on to weapon fragments, which finishes pretty fast. So I make a scope, we move on to xenobiology and finish that, which we won't be taking advantage of for a while. We finish our satellite and send it over to the United Kingdom, thankfully giving us a much needed boost in money after I spent the last of it on a scope. Buy some interceptors because I'll need them, decide to make another satellite which I will very heavily regret in the future, due to the fact that it is going to be a while before I can make an uplink. We get our next abduction missions, and we decide to tackle the mission in France for panic and money. The mission goes pretty well at first. We blow up some sectoids, but take a couple shots in the meantime, and then suddenly get jumped by the rest of the sectoids, unfortunately. With liberal use of grenades, we take out 2 of the pods, and get lucky on a flank shot aimed against us. As such, we go to take out the last sectoid and blast him in the face. We get our first promotions between Will to Survive and Heat Ammo on our assault. I decide to go with Will to Survive, as heat ammo doesn't serve much use this early in the game. Our heavy gets Battle Scanner or Grenadier. I decide to take Grenadier as more grenades tends to be helpful. Our sniper chooses between Snapshot and Squad Sight as per usual. I take Snapshot as I feel it's a bit better. We get a medal. I assign it the power for will per different nationality and name it appropriately. I scan a bit more and we get our council report for the month, marking the end of our first month in the game, giving us a pretty good grade. I expand our base a little bit more, and they finish in time for the next abduction missions. I choose the one in South Africa for the engineers. This marks our first encounter with floaters, who are basically sectoids slightly upgraded and they can fly. I throw a grenade at them as I don't want to take any chances. We find a group of sectoids who eventually mind merge and take a shot at us, which hits pretty hard. We take a shot and we miss. Deciding I don't want to take any more chances, I just fire a rocket at them. I heal up and advance further on, marking our first encounter with Seekers, stealth monsters who like to get a bit freaky with their soldiers. Thankfully they're easy to deal with as I just sit in place and overwatch until they show themselves. After some waiting, they both go down. We find the last group of sectoids in the area.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell.
I foolishly decide to take a risk by gunning at them, which I blast one and kill them easily. The other one, however, gets a very easy flank on me and hits me pretty bad. Fortunately, we just give them some payback and we win. We get another set of promotions between Shredder and Opportunist on our heavy. I decide to take Shredder as I believe that's a little better. And Rapid Reaction or Extra Conditioning on our support. I take Extra Conditioning due to their bad aim. We expand our base a little more after the last stuff finished. Find that Panic and Russia is maxed, but that's not too much of an issue. We finish Carapace armor. I decide to move on to beam weapons as I'll need them. Our satellite I ordered earlier finishes, which I will unfortunately be unable to use. We find our next UFO, which is quite bigger than the last one, but we still managed to shoot it down. So we take a new recruit on to the next mission. It goes pretty swimmingly up until we encounter our first thin men, the Game Enders. They shoot poison at us instead of firing for some reason. And we manage to take out one while the other runs away. We find some sectoids and manage to take one out while the other retreats again. The other thin man shows up when we manage to take him out. While we look for the other sectoid, I end up running into its overwatch and get slapped a little bit. But we kill it, move on to the outsider that's left. I attempt to take a shot at it, forgetting that I have a grenade, and then I remember and throw it at it. Miss, and then manage to kill it. We get a new assault. We promote our support again for Bring 'em On or Smoke and Mirrors. I take Smoke and Mirrors because the support can't aim. Our heavy gets promoted with Revive or Tactical Sense. I think the answer is obvious. We get a council mission straight after that I decide to skip as all of my veteran soldiers are wounded and it's too much of a risk for me to do. We get some abduction missions later, and I decide to go for the one in Brazil for some scientists and panic reduction. We take out a bunch of floaters. There isn't too much to note on this mission other than when thin men show up. We manage to take out one while the other runs away and gets to drop on us, literally. And we lose our first soldier. We managed to kill it before it does any more damage and move on to the last pot of sectoids, which we clean up after taking a crit. Our sniper gets promoted between rapid reaction and revive. I don't think I need to tell you which one I'm taking. I decide to award a medal to our sniper for future use. And the worst part comes our first terror mission. Taking place in Moscow, we send our squad over, containing a rookie as everyone's still injured. We find our first chrysalids in this mission, which are very terrifying. And a floater pod while we're at it. Thankfully we have shotguns to take care of them, and oh fuck, after spending some turn shooting these lids down. We kill them, and move on to the floaters. Not learning my lesson, I decide to charge at this floater. And pay the price. We managed to kill that floater and move on to the last. Funny thing about damage roulette is that civilians can survive 1 damage shots. That aside, we take out more of the floaters, and eventually we clear the mission. Which, for what it's worth, went better than I expected. We get some more promotions, our support gets Executioner or Will to Survive. Again, with the already poor aim, I just take Will to Survive. Our Assault promotes and gets Resilience or Close and Personal. While a very heavy debate, I decide to take Resilience. We get a new support. And I scan a bit more and immediately get a council mission after that. Reluctantly, I decide to take it on after selling some stuff on the market. We meet our goat, Zhang, and move to escort him through the horde of thin men that come through on this mission. It is a very, very slow and grueling mission. But we kill a thin man, then we kill another, and another. And another thin man. Another thin man as well. Up until a muton drops in and throws a grenade at us and kills someone. You get some more thin men bodyguards, which we take out.
What the fuck?
Eventually we take out the final thin man, and the muton lands a hit through high cover smoke for a lot of damage, lands another one with a crit, and then lands another shot through high cover, where I finally take him out for his sins. And then we get a final thin man as a cherry on top, which thankfully goes down. 11 thin men later, we make it out at the cost of 2 lives. We get a new support to replace the one we lost, and thankfully Zhang decides to join us to make up for the losses. He gets a rapid reaction, Redder Rocket, and Bullet Swarm. After some scanning, I get another UFO, so we go to shoot it down as always. Goes down pretty easily, we take out everything that's there, and there's not too much to note. We get another promotion, which I decide to take Dense Smoke on our main support. We finally finish up laser weapons, so I decide to move on to Experimental Warfare. We finish that, and then I move on to Heavy Lasers. Finally, the Officer Training School gets finished, so I buy a squad size upgrade and the Iron Will bonus. I scan a bit more to get our monthly report and funds. Unfortunately, India leaves, but that's not too big of an issue. Using the new money, I buy the second squad size upgrade, and we finish our cybernetics lab for mech troopers. We get some new abduction missions, and I decide to pick up the one in Canada, since it has a money reward and panic is high. It goes pretty well. We just take out a bunch of floaters at first, and come across a funny group of mutons who, for some reason, decide to clump up really closely. I love these guys. We kill some more of the floaters, and that ends the mission. We get disabling shot on our sniper, finish heavy lasers, and move on to precision lasers. We get another UFO, which is a bit bigger, but we still manage to take it down as always. Not too much to note on this mission. We just blow up all the thin men hiding inside and find the outsider and kill him. We get a promotion on our new support, and I give him battle scanner, and Zhang gets danger zone. We get a brand new council mission for some bomb disposal. So we move into our bomb disposal mission. Our main job is to deactivate some nodes to buy us time before the bomb explodes. But we fight off a horde of thin men again. Thankfully, with our new shiny laser weapons, they aren't much of a problem. So we just move forward, disabling all the nodes and find the bomb. I disable the bomb, and all I need to do from this point is just kill another group of thin men, who promptly get slaughtered due to our new laser weaponry. So overall, the mission goes pretty swell. No. Afterwards, we get a new promotion for our support who gets heat ammo, which will be very useful later. We also get a brand new heavy. After scanning a bit more, our thermo generator finally finishes, allowing me to finally expand the base a bit more, which will be very helpful as I start an uplink so I can make more satellites, as well as the foundry in order to get some more permanent upgrades. We get another council mission shortly after, Confounding Light. I decide to skip it as I don't believe I'm geared enough for Gangplank. After scanning a bit more, the foundry finishes, and so I decide to take a look at our new upgrade projects. After some deciding, I go sell some stuff on the market, and come back to do tactical rigging so every soldier can take a second utility item. Precision laser finishes, allowing us to get our last laser weapon upgrades, and I move on to the arc thrower in order to advance the story. We get some alien abduction missions over in Egypt, Australia, and Argentina. I decide to take on the mission in Egypt for a new heavy as I think I'll need the manpower. Not too much to say on this mission. We fight a group of sectoids who get slaughtered. We come across a group of floaters and thin men right next to each other, which is pretty scary. We take a pretty bad hit, but other than that, this mission is over. We finish that and get a new promotion for our support and get some extra conditioning. We also get our new heavy, who unfortunately was not actually worth the investment due to his incredibly atrocious aim. We find panic has maxed in many countries, and despite how bad it looks, it is all fine, I promise. We get a new UFO. I scramble the interceptors to go take it out, but despite our best efforts, it gets away, as I never really bothered to upgrade my ships by this point, which is on my own fault. We finish our first mech trooper and get a new suit for him with the kinetic strike module, as the flamethrower is pretty niche in comparison. We gear up our new mech trooper with this new suit, and we end up finishing our arc thrower research in order to advance the story. And so we move on to UFO power source in order to better upgrade our mechs later. We finally get introduced to Exalt, who I send a covert operative after. Our tactical rigging finishes in the meantime, And so does our satellite uplink, which will allow us to finally send out that satellite I made earlier, and one that's about to be made shortly. So I send our first satellite to Argentina, as I want the South American bonus. Our satellite finishes again later, and I send the second one off to Brazil in order to get the continent bonus, allowing me to save a lot of time on research. Our covert operation finishes, and so we head in to defend our new encoder and transmitter. Defending it is a easy task, which I thought at first, up until the fight actually started, as I find one Exalt pod, and more Exalt, and another piece of Exalt comes in, and drops in. I try to chew them down slowly with whatever I've got, and watch their goofy actions. Another Exalt pod comes in and ends up making this even worse for me. Downstairs gets pretty bad with the amount of Exalt covering the room. So I decide to retreat because that room is filled, and try my best to defend the encoder. The situation at the bottom floor gets even worse as it gets even more crowded and more reinforcements come in, as if it wasn't already enough. And even more drop in. But I use whatever I've got and continue taking them out. And for whatever reason, the cameraman developed Parkinson's randomly for some reason during this reaction shot. Exalt starts to take the encoder, but I manage to defend the bottom floor a bit more and take out the guy taking the encoder. Exalt moves on to shooting our mech, who I decide to take away in order to make sure he survives. Other than that, we keep shooting more Exalt. I even get a chance to fire off a good rocket. The top floor gets into a pretty bad spot, unfortunately, but I still take out more. Oh, for fuck. I continue to try to take back the top floor, but unfortunately it doesn't work out, and I make a grave mistake. I decide to abandon the encoder by this point and just take out more Exalt. As I start to defend the transmitter, they start dropping like flies. And this last Exalt makes his mad dash for the transmitter. And so ends Operation Seriously, I'm running out of ideas burst meta. Probably one of the most intense missions I've had so far in this run. No, seriously, what are these names? Who came up? Our heavy gets a promotion between covering fire and danger zone, so I pick up danger zone. Scam a bit more, get our UFO power source completed. So we can now make an Illyrium generator and upgrade our mech. I decided to go take on all the autopsies as they're now instant, and so we get a bunch of new items to take on, as well as some Foundry products and gene mods whenever I get to them. And eventually I move on to Illyrium. We upgrade our mech with the grenade launcher in the meantime. We scan a bit more and get our report from A showing us that 2 countries have left, which is unfortunate, but there's not much I can do about it. Ultimately, this is the end of the most stressful month for the game. I buy a couple more satellites and get the arc thrower. And after scanning some more, we get a new council mission. The Peter Van Dorn mission, a very well-known mission, so we head in to go escort our man Van Dorn out. Ultimately, a mission is just a bunch of thin men, which at this point of the game we can just chew through. It does not take much for us to rip apart the horde of thin men this time, no matter how much they try to fight back. More drop in and more drop in, but there's nothing they can do to stand up to us at this point. After chewing through a substantial amount of thin men, we get Van Dorn out, and that ends that mission. Our support levels up, and we get a Savior or Holo targeting. I decide to pick up Savior, and our mech levels. We pick up Automated Threat Assessment, which I will end up regretting later. Our Sniper gets Deep Pockets or Resilience, and so I pick up Resilience. We scan and get a UFO mission straight after. I pick up our Arc Thrower and hoping I can tase someone to get their weapon. There's just some thin men and mutons on this mission. I try to fake out the thin men and fail miserably. Find the mutons. I decide reluctantly to blow everything up just because it's a small UFO, even if I lose the power source. I take care of them. Strangely enough, this one muton decides to run through the poison cloud. So I decide my best bet is to simply try and tase him. I try to take out the thin men accompanying him and fail horribly. I run forward and try to hit the muton with the Arc Thrower, who graciously decides for some reason to just walk up to us and stand there. I take out the thin man and then tase the muton and get a free plasma rifle. I'll have to research it later, but I have it. Mech levels up again and gets Vital Point targeting or damage control. I pick up Vital Point, and our Heavy gets Deep Pockets. Exalt steals some of our research, which is insanely annoying, so I send out a Covert Operative again. Head back to scanning and we get an abduction mission between Egypt, Russia, and Mexico. I decide to just head off to Russia for some money, and there's not much I need to worry about panic. Just find some mutons and quickly take care of one of them. The other one runs away while a group of sectoids comes in and also alerts a group of floaters. We don't spend much time tearing them apart. It's pretty easy, as a matter of fact. I go to look for the muton that ran off, and he decides to show himself and run into our loving embrace. For some reason. And he dies. God bless. I decide to go expand our base more with a genetics lab, as well as a regular lab. Some more scanning and our Illyrium research completes, which is a very important research. Not for what I get out of it directly, but just for the research I get afterwards. So I start on Titan armor. Covert operation finishes, and we're off to get our operative back, who spawns halfway across the map. We find some Exalt on the way to them, and we tear them apart. Despite their best efforts, there's ultimately not much Exalt can do to us. So I tear all of the Exalt apart, and it's just a complete slaughter. This medic appears to be running for the operative, however, so I need to quickly chase them down as I take care of the bodyguards covering for him. And he dies. I send our operative to go hack one of the relays we need to get, which drops in more Exalt, who do not last long. More Exalt drop in after the second relay, who also do not last long. So we tear them apart as always, and have our mech terrorize them. They try their best to take out the mech, but it's ruthless. There's nothing they can do. We get another promotion for our support between dense smoke and combat drugs. I pick up combat drugs, and our mech gets jet boots, or all for one. I obviously pick up jet boots. Our alien containment finishes, so we can advance the story. I pick up a wound recovery reduction, and our genetics lab finishes, as well as our regular lab. And expand a bit more by excavating. Satellites finish, and I launch one off to South Africa. We continue onwards and get our next terror mission. Unfortunately for me, I have no idea what I am getting into, as this terror mission only ends up being chrysalids. As we fight off zombies and more chrysalids that show up, I quickly realize that there are just so many goddamn chrysalids, and fail to save many civilians. I blow up more chrysalids, shoot more of them, and kill the zombies, but ultimately I can't really do much against the onslaught to save the civilians. They get this last guy, unfortunately, and I've only saved 4 in this mission. Which is unfortunate, but at least we won. Our support gets lightning reflexes or bullet swarm, which is a tough choice, but I take bullet swarm. Our sniper gets suppression. How the fuck does that even work? Does he fucking spin bomb? We get some new abduction missions over in Canada, Africa, and France. And so I decided to take on Africa because the money would be nice. There's not much for me to say on this mission other than these funny mutons who just stand there in the open. Also our first encounter with a mechtoid who doesn't last long at all. We also managed to take a sectoid in, allowing us to advance the story. Our mech trooper gets expanded storage or repair servos. After some deciding, I decided to take repair servos. After some more scanning, our next Exalt mission is ready. So we go into defending a coder again, but this time it goes much better, other than this heavy who blows us up. And nearly manages to get our sniper killed. But we live and manage to take out the rest of the Exalted soldiers. They try their best to take the encoder, but unfortunately our mech is too much of a brick wall. The last of the Exalt troopers run in and get absolutely slaughtered in the meantime. Our heavy gets Mayhem or Rocketeer. I decide to get Mayhem for better rockets. More scanning and our Titan armor finally finishes. We also decide to go torture this, I mean, to interrogate this sectoid a bit to advance the story. And our next objective shows up. We do some autopsies, because they're instant, and get more things available to us. We move on to the plasma rifle, and I find out I can't make Titan armor because I lack the engineers. So I make a workshop to build towards it, and our month of June ends and we get our report. The panic's getting pretty high, but still manageable. Exalt steals more of our money. Our thermo generator completes so we can expand more. And our next Exalt mission is ready once more, so we head in to go hack some more relays again. Exalt actually has upgraded to laser weapons, which changes nothing, as I still maul them. We go and hack the relays, and go take out the rest of the Exalt troopers, who do not last long against us. And that ends the mission. We get suppression on our support, at least, as well as overdrive on our mech trooper. Brazil requests nanofiber vest for some engineers, which is very cheap, so I gladly oblige. Our abductions go up once more, and we get Japan, France, or Canada. Evidently, I move on to France for the engineer. We also find our first berserker here, who also doesn't last long as they get completely slapped in the face. And we move on to take out the rest of the enemies. And also punch this mechtoid in the face. We get our engineers, and unfortunately Panic Across the World maxes out, which is unfortunate. Our workshop completes, and I decide to go make some satellites, as well as finishing our plasma rifle research. And I do more autopsies while I've got the chance. Get some cool new gear, and move on to the nav computer. And Exalt steals even more of our money. We also get a new UFO mission and go try to take an outsider. I tase this man in the meantime, which will be a mistake as I try to tase the outsider we find. And fail. Oh well. We get some new abduction missions between Mexico, Germany, and Egypt. I decide to head off to Egypt for some cash again. This also marks our first encounter with a cyber disc that I shoot on accident. And it dies. Our sniper hits Colonel, who gets in the zone or double tap, and I pick in the zone. As you can see, Panic's pretty bad, unfortunately, as another country maxes out. But our nav computer research finishes, so we get a satellite nexus. While deciding what research to take on next, I accidentally queue up plasma cannons, but I decide to roll with it because I need to upgrade my interceptor weapons anyway. And moving on, we get a new council mission, which was actually extremely easy. Before taking it on, I decide to upgrade my mech to tier 3 with the electro pulse system, which will allow me to stun robotic enemies later. But other than that, we head in. And the reason why this mission will be easy is because there is nothing but sectoids here. So obviously, they try their best to take this out and completely fail as I tear them apart. I do take some in with me for some free plasma pistols though. We find the rest of them and mop them up as always.
I can explain.
After that, our covert operation finishes, so we head in to defend the encoder again, which goes pretty well this time around. No rocket to us. I also find out the Exalt medics get immunity to AoE for some reason. God, I hate these guys. But we mop up the rest of them without much issue. After that, we get Grenadier or Executioner on our support, and I decide to take Executioner because I don't run grenades on it. I also get enough to make a plasma rifle finally, and so I do. We get a landed UFO, which is pretty simple and easy, aside from this open field that gives me a seizure. We take out everything that's here, and also tase this berserker. This mutant also runs into our loving arms with this 1 HP, so I can't really pass up the opportunity for a free plasma rifle. But we mop up the rest again. Find the outsiders who I can't take in because I used my charges, so I just killed them. Our mech reaches Colonel and gets absorption fields or reactive targeting sensors. I take the targeting sensors, and we also move on, finishing our plasma cannon research. We move on to researching the firestorms so we can actually take out some bigger ships. And our alien grenades finish. I also make some plasma cannons to upgrade our interceptors now, which I do. After some more scanning, we finish our satellites and move to send them out to reduce panic over in Mexico, Japan, and Germany, which saves us from a game over and gives us a giant income boost, allowing us to make a lot more stuff. So we scan a bit more and get our firestorms finished. We can now make them, which I make off screen. I also move on to Archangel armor. Our operation finishes and we move in to defend the coder once again, which is pretty easy as I fire off this rocket and mop them up. I also realized that rocket I fired broke our heavy's cover, who promptly gets clobbered. Thankfully we save him because he bled out instead of dying outright. And we clean up the rest of Exalt as payback and clear the mission pretty easily. We get another UFO to use our new plasma cannons on. And as we fight, we see that they are pretty effective. We head in after making some Titan armor, and thankfully it's pretty easy to get through all of these without much annoyance. We find the outsider and he's shooting planks for some reason. But we tase him and take him in to advance the story. After finishing Archangel armor, which is probably the most broken armor in the game, I move on to researching the Outsider shard to advance the story. We finish that pretty quickly, and gives us access to the skeleton keys so we can raid the base later. I make the skeleton key just so I have it, and Exalt takes our money again. In the meantime, we get another UFO, which our plasma cannons still help us shoot down pretty easily. We move in to take this UFO as always, and it's pretty easy. We find this group of floaters too, who I take out pretty easily. So the last floater survives on 1 HP and I decide I would like his plasma rifle, and unfortunately this is my mistake as he gets a free kill. Thankfully it's a bleed out and we manage to take him in. Our Exalt operation finishes, and really there's not much for me to say. It goes pretty well, all things considered. After that, we get a request for some lid corpses. I'm not sure if I want to give them up, so I take a moment to think about it. It reminds me I also have the power sources to fill this request for some free money. We scan a bit more and get a new terror mission to take on. So as we head in, I still don't really have much to say actually. It goes pretty well. Yeah, we finish our first firestorms, which is pretty helpful.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
After some more scanning, we get some new abduction missions, and after deciding a bit, I head to Russia to get a new assault. And we also demolish this mission pretty hard, especially due to the Archangel armor. After some more scanning, we get an EMP cannon, probably the stupidest interceptor weapon in the game. Anyways, we move on to plasma snipers and get ammo conservation going, which finishes shortly after. Moving on, we get another Exalt robbery, and after that we finish our plasma sniper research, and as you can see I have many choices to pick from. After that our month ends. I know that was a really short month, but we're hitting the point where I just don't have much to say on each mission. It's pretty easy at this point of the game. Anyways, we make a new sniper with our new money, as well as some EMP cannons to slap on our firestorms. And I decide to gene mod my sniper, finally, so he'll be ready in a few days. In the meantime, I go to assault the alien base with our new assault we got from the abduction mission. So we head in, and it's pretty easy for the first part of the mission. That is up until I find our first sectopod in here. He thankfully decides to just waste his turn firing rockets at us, which still take a turn to come down. So I make him pay for his mistake by simply just killing him. After that, we clear out more of the enemies and find the final enemies at the end of the base. I also end up accidentally triggering the sectoid commander in the middle of it, who mind controls someone. Unfortunately for him, he does not respect the power of many grenades, and he dies. After that, we mop up the rest of it, and the alien base goes down. After that, we're moving on to our next objective after our skeleton suit research completes. I do take the time to get the autopsy, which is instant, so not really. But we get psionic labs, which is important, and I immediately go to build them. In the meantime, I start on the hyperwave communication and finish another firestorm, which I transfer over. Exalt operation finishes. So I head in to once again defend the encoder, which is in a horrific spot that makes me sad. But Exalt doesn't really stand a chance against us at this point, so this is kind of just a slaughter. Our hyperwave communication finishes after that, and we get the hyperwave relay. The UFO lands, and we obviously head off to go take it. Other than this being our first encounter with Muton elites, this mission goes pretty well, until a floater throws a grenade at our new assault and bleeds him out, which means I have to bench him now because his will is too low. On the bright side, I get to jump this sectopod. Anyways, after that, our gene mods finish on our sniper, giving him a few new goodies with neural damping, depth perception, and adrenal neurosympathy. After some more scanning, we get hit with another Exalt operation, but this time I realize I know where the Exalt base is, so obviously, instead of doing that operation, I choose to raid the base instead. So we head in to take out Exalt once and for all, and to be honest, I wish I could say I struggled on this mission, but frankly this mission was just a slaughter. They stood no chance.
I mean, you're fucking innocent.
Hold still! You prancing showponies!
After that, Exalt is taken out for good after that immense slaughter of a mission. Anyways, after that, World Panic's pretty low, and we get a new council mission afterwards, not long after. Now, evidently, a council mission with only thin men isn't too much of a threat to us, but they're still thin men and will take shots at us, even if they aren't always successful, shockingly enough. After we scan a bit more, we suddenly get hit with base defense, which was kind of always coming in the first place. This is our next biggest challenge. And as we get in, I'm only left with our support, heavy, and sniper. We try to clear out the first wave, which is easy enough. as it is made up of just sectoid commanders, chrysalids, a single berserker, muton, and a mechtoid. And our reinforcements arrive, bringing in our mech as well, which I used to try and clear out some of the wave. And accidentally kill one of the base personnel with a rocket. But other than that, the first wave goes down and another wall of meat, or I guess in this case metal, gets sent at us. And Central graces us with the best reinforcements he could provide, our support with conventional gear, even if they're a colonel. So we try our best, despite the new lack of reinforcements. And the wall of cyber disc goes down, and so does the incoming mechtoids. After we manage to get to the mech bay, it's just more sectoid commanders and mechtoids. A lot of them, actually. Anyways, we try to clear that out as well, and it goes well so far, but it's kind of starting to become a struggle as they send the final wave at us. More mechtoids, a cyber disc, loaders, a berserker, and even a sectopod. I try to fight everything off as always, and manage to take out some of the wave. Until the sectopod shows up in the middle of my wave clearing and absolutely nukes our mech. But with electropulse, suppression, and some sacrifices from the base personnel, and disabling weapon shot, and a sacrifice from our conventional geared support. And this sniper we didn't even need as a replacement. We do take down the cyber disc and the sectopod accompanying it. After that, we find the sectoid commander that's remaining and absolutely slap him across the face. And end base defense with only a single casualty that matters. Later on, we finish our heavy plasma research to get some heavy plasma in the particle cannon. And with not much left to do, I decide to just research the light plasma rifle. The more time passes and our psionic labs finish, the more time passes, we finish our light plasma rifle. And after that, I move on to the alloy cannon. And send some people to the psi labs. Not long after, the hyperwave relay finishes, so we can advance the story. We get some abduction sites again. And with not much left to do, I go to Nigeria for some free money, which is pretty easy to clear out, with not much to note. More time passes and we get a UFO landing, which not much to say here either. We clear it out pretty easy. We get a request for some mechtoid cores, so I give them it, because it's not like I'm using them. Anyways, time passes and our psi lab testing completes, and we get our first psionic soldier in the first round. With that, all we need to do is train him up and we'll be able to finish the game. Our alloy cannon research completes, and there's not much left to do, so I just researched the plasma pistol. Our last firestorm complete, And we find the Overseer ship after our hyperwave relay has a seizure. So this is our first time using our new firestorms as we send it off to deal with the Overseer ship. And shockingly, it goes down pretty easily. Other than me getting jumped by 2 sectopods in this mission, it's not too hard for me to get to the ethereal here. We take out the mutons guarding it, and the ethereal itself decides to just walk into our embrace.
You're a fucking maniac, you know that?
We come back with the purple orb to ponder over in order to advance the story. And so ends September, as we finally make our final steps towards the end of the game. More time passes and we finish the plasma pistol. And we do the ethereal autopsy and move on to researching their orb. In the meantime, I do a foundry project to increase the health of our mech. And we also find a battleship along the way, so I obviously try to go and take it out to get some fusion cores from it. And surprisingly to me, it goes down really easily. And inside isn't much of a problem either, other than a sectopod. We also level up our psionic soldier from that, and give him psi panic in order to use that later. We also learn the fusion lance and blaster launcher research. And not long after, we get another council mission for bomb disposal, which is also still only thin men. Other than the mistake I make of not remembering thin men are guaranteed to hit and nearly get our sniper killed, we defuse the bomb pretty easily. And then we mop up the rest of the thin men that drop in pretty easily as well. The shaped armor finishes, and there's not much else for me to do, so I pass time and another ship landing occurs, which we also clear out pretty easily. And we also get another psionic level on our soldier, and decide to give him mind control. And we get a new terror mission, which still also gets rolled over pretty easily with all our new gear. Our blaster launcher research completes for the most broken weapon in the game, and we move on to psi armor. And we get some abduction missions, which go pretty well up until I make this one mistake and this mechtoid absolutely mauls us, but thankfully nothing bad comes of it. After that, Germany requests some scatter lasers from us, which I go manufacture and send off to them for some free cash. And more scanning later and our psi armor finishes, allowing us to move on to finishing the game, after our Golub chamber also finishes. At this point, I go make the psi armor, put it on our soldier, and we're now ready to move on to the end. I decide to wait a little bit and get ghost armor and do some gene modding before I head into the final mission. After some waiting, October passes and we're moving on to our final month in November. I make the ghost armor, and not long later I send our psionic soldier into the Golub chamber.
At long last, you have succeeded where we have failed.
And so we're ready to take on the final mission, and we head off for it. Our first group of enemies is just a bunch of sectoids, which obviously get demolished. Some cyber discs show up and our mech decides to just obliterate them on the spot. so they weren't much issue either. Next up is some floaters, which obviously get demolished. And then some chrysalids, which still aren't a problem at this point in the game. Next up is the Thin Men, and you guessed it, they get demolished. And then the Mutons, who also get demolished for the most part. And then we move on to the last two sectopods. Thankfully, with the power of imagination, they just take 10 damage and one of them has a spontaneous heart attack. And we take out the other. And we take care of the two Muton elites guarding the entryway to the final stage. And find the Uber Ethereal, who summons invisible men at us, apparently. And cause the game to soft lock. Yeah.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Anyways, I send a blaster launcher at them to shred them and take out one of the ethereals. The Uber Ethereal decides to mind control our assault, who fortunately has neural feedback to deal some damage for it. How much? I don't really know, but I shoot a grenade to do some more chip and... Oh, that was the end of the game. I feel like I was missing something. Oh yeah, our psionic soldier has some fever dreams about the world being destroyed, and decides to head back to the orb and send the ship into orbit and blow up. And so ends our RNG hell run. And I got some new second wave options. Wonder what those are. I guess I'll go check them out. Let's see, high stakes. Aw, motherfucker.